And welcome back. The fallout for the COVID-19 pandemic continues. More people are unemployed and food insecurity has grown significantly. Nearly 37% of pantries and kitchens in New York were forced to turn people away, reduce their portion sizes, and limit their hours of operation due to a lack of resources. The Northwest Bronx Food Justice Project is a coalition of local community organizations and residents, and they're on a mission, taking an active, targeted steps towards improving the community's health and well-being by addressing nutrition literacy and the impact of food insecurity and limited access to affordable as well as fresh food. Joining us now to share a little bit more is the Deputy Director of Riverdale Senior Services, Andria Cassidy. And Andria, good to have you with us, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Darren, and thank you for having me.
Yes, we are hoping that it's going to be a happier new year. But as I said in the lead into this segment, nearly 37% of people are really struggling with this issue with pantries. 7% of pantries having a hard time. Food insecurity is huge. And I know that there are organizations that are really rising up, trying to bridge that gap.
Exactly. I thought, too, I would just give you a very quick intro about the Northwest Bronx Food Justice Project. We started about formed a year ago, really to address the long-term and embedded inequalities in our neighborhood, mainly access to good and healthy and affordable fresh food, and really to help engage people in learning and in providing credible and relevant nutrition education. So as you said, we formed a coalition, and we also formed a food justice team at that point in time. And that was in January of 2020. And then COVID hit and the situation became dire. So our intent was to get into the community and do some nutrition literacy. Well, that program went virtual, and we had to open an emergency food pantry in St. Stephen's United Methodist Church.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was about to say that the St. Stephen's had at that point in time, prior to COVID, had a just very small little pantry, and they were providing food for just a few. So after COVID hit, we pivoted quickly to open up that emergency food pantry. It's now serving over 700 people, and with a waiting list of about 300.
Yeah. And I know you see access to food as like an equity and a justice issue. Give us your thoughts on that and why you see it as such a major issue.
Well, it really hits the neighborhood itself, because of this long-term inequities within the neighborhood. It's social, it's financial, it's racial, it's also health. So all of these impact a neighborhood. And when you don't have access to good food and nutritious food, it really becomes an overriding issue all along. Health becomes an issue. People who don't have enough money to purchase food also are really forced to buy inferior food. So it really is an inequity issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we look at this inequity issue, we talk about statistics, and the statistics are alarming. Is there any statistics or data that you can share with us that can give us a better insight into how bad things are?
Well, 30% of the people are living in poverty right now in our neighborhood. And it's an easy jump to say that if 30% of people are living in poverty, that they can't afford food. So that's one. About 16% are unemployed. 1 in 4 are food insecure. So food insecurity is certainly a huge issue. It's also, food insecurity also involves not eating the right kinds of food, because if you're in our neighborhood, for example, there are a lot of fast food places. So if you can purchase a fast food dinner for $1 or $2, that and get a lot of food, as opposed to finding a place where there's fresh produce, and you don't get a lot of fresh produce. That is really is really what people are forced to do is
Mhm.
is a shame.
Yeah. Well, how's the project doing? Since I know you guys have been going for about a year now, give us a little bit about insight into the project. How do you feel the project is going so far?
So we formed a coalition, by the way, and I think that has been the strength of the project. You haven't mentioned the names of the coalition.
Okay.
Kingsbridge Heights Community Center is a food pantry as well, and they are struggling to really provide. They provide uh, prior to COVID. They were feeding about 20 people per week, 20 families per week. They're now serving 200 families per day. So that also gives you an idea of how, how dire the situation is. So, and Out of Seed Shadows is involved with us. The Friendly Fridges people are involved in the coalition, St. Stephen's United Methodist Church, and of course, Riverdale Senior Services. So we are among the founding members of the coalition that are addressing this issue.
And so going forward, how can people participate in being an assistance to this? I mean, you got a lot of great work going on, and I know you do a lot of, you get a lot of volunteers and donations. How can people play a part in supporting the work?
So there are a number of ways. We have a website, a web page, and people can sign into that web page and say they would like to help. That's one way. Another way is donating to the Friendly Fridges that are the Friendly Fridge. There's a Friendly Fridge in the neighborhood. I don't know if I know many people are aware of it. It's on 242nd Street. So people can donate to that. Certainly people can choose to volunteer. Um, and the, the I think that also people can leave a message on my answering machine if they would like to get involved. We certainly could use volunteers. That's another way to get involved, and financial donations are always great too.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you see things playing out? I mean, we're in the middle of the new year, and well, not the middle, just start of a new year. And as we're at the start of the new year, obviously we're coming out of some real tough times. But how do you see things playing out in the near future for pantries?
So for pantries, here is a challenge we have in our neighborhood. There are essentially three food pantries. Kingsbridge Heights Community Center is open 5 days a week. St. Stephen's can only be open one day per week because of access to food. There's food sources, and the Mediator is also a food pantry. So, what we're looking to do in the coalition in the coming year or years is really to strengthen the availability of food pantries in our neighborhood. Um, our ultimate goal is to have a distribution center where we can accept and distribute food to the various food pantries within the neighborhood. That is an ongoing piece of work that we're involved in, and also the nutrition literacy. We find that it's very important to integrate literacy into programming, so that will continue. Certainly, while COVID is still raging, it will continue online and virtually. And it's different. Not everybody has a computer, by the way, so it's not easy to reach the folks during this time. Um, the OSS, Out of Seed Shadows, actually, in partnership with BronxNet, was able to get a little TV show going, highlighting their work in the community gardens and also highlighting the work of our nutrition literacy program. So that's another way to get to the people, and we hope to do more of that during this year and integrate more into the pantry's nutrition education. Um, People can go to our website and find hordes and hordes of information on nutrition education, the value of plant-based eating, and great videos that our nutritionist has put up. So really expanding what we do, growing what we do, and really to solidify the food pantries and the sourcing of food in our neighborhood. That's our goal for this coming year, basically.
We're hoping things get better. We know there's a lot of challenges out there, and particularly food suppliers, right? Really seeing food suppliers being able to donate and to get to these pantries, which has been a challenge. And I hope that things really get better. Andrew, we got to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks so much, Daren. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I want to let our viewers know that if you want more information, we're going to encourage you. And what you can do is you can go and visit their website, rssny.org /NW Bronx Food Justice, and follow them on Facebook and Twitter at NW Bronx Food. We encourage you to do that. And we also encourage you don't go anywhere, because Open will continue with more show coming up right after this.